Hey, how's it going, guys? I hope you're all having a fantastic day as usual. Today is Halloween, the scariest day of the whole entire year, and I mean, who doesn't love it? Kids get to dress up as their favorite characters and collect candy, and people my age get to go to Halloween parties. Yo, I'm here for the party, dude.
What the f are you wearing?
I'm Pikachu, what do you mean?
Bro, you're a grown ass man. What the f, dude?
Since nobody likes me and I never get invited anywhere, I thought this would be a great time for us to sit down and play a scary game. But not just any scary game, I want to play something unique. Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Dead Space, they're all great games, but everybody knows what they are. So that's why today we are going to be playing the game D. Yes, that's the name of the game, it is not a D's Nuts joke. The thing is, I never hear anybody talk about this game. It's almost like it's been completely forgotten about. Just to do a little test, we're going to go to my local park and see if we can find anybody who knows what D is. Alright guys, we're out here right now at the park. We're going to see if we can find anybody who knows what D is, alright? I think I can see some people right here. We're going to ask them. Alright guys, here we are. We are interviewing these three lovely people right here. Alright, so my first question for you guys is, do you know what D is?
Yeah, I think I know what D is.
Nice. So let's see how the question's going about. Do you love D?
That's kind of a weird question to ask.
Alright, so I just want to ask you then. So, do you want to play D with me?
Yo, what?
What do you mean?
What are you
Some
talking
kind of
about?
f***ing
What
D's
are you
Nuts
getting
joke?
at?
No, that's not
Is this seriously some kind of f***ing D's Nuts?
The game! Yo! That was the worst idea I've ever had. Now, before we actually sit down and play D, I want to talk about the project itself. Kenji Eno was born on May 5th, 1970 in Arakawa, Tokyo. At a young age, Eno was fascinated by both music and video games, often experimenting with the two. One of the first games he ever made, called Towadaka Murder Case, even got placed in a regional game contest, truly proving his talent. When it came to getting a job in the gaming industry, it didn't work out too well for Eno. His first job was working for a company called Interlink. During his time here, Eno felt he had little control on his projects and he wanted more freedom. This caused him to depart from Interlink and use his savings to found a new game company called EIM, which was a strict contract company. Eno had direct control over all the projects here, but he remained unhappy from the limitations that EIM had. Eno also struggled a lot with mental instability. At this point, Eno felt he needed to close the doors on EIM and leave the gaming industry as a whole. That is, until 1994. During a trip to Macworld 1994, Eno's love for video games was rekindled. He decided to go back in the game industry one more time and formed a small game company called Warp. Eno was the manager at Warp, so he finally had the freedom that he wanted. This was a terrible idea. Let me explain. Companies like Nintendo always give out cool items as pre-order bonuses. For example, when I pre-ordered Scarlett and Violet, I got these two really nice art books, and I even got a cool Pikachu card. When I pre-ordered Link's Awakening, I got this really nice poster from GameStop. This is an industry standard at this point to show appreciation to the fans for supporting early. Now, what kind of stuff do you think you got when you ordered a game from Warp? Maybe some stickers, a poster, maybe even a cool plush? No! When you ordered a copy of Real Sound from Warp, they shipped you herb seeds as a thank you. What the f***? If you think that's weird, then get ready for this one. If you ordered the game Short Warp from Warp, you received something so random you could never possibly guess what it is. I will give you 10 seconds. If you said a condom, congratulations, you're right! I didn't realize how much of a mess this was gonna make, guys. I didn't realize. At this point, Eno knew Warp needed to make a game to get their name out there, and fast. So they started to work on their next project called D. Eno considered this project a gamble, and if it didn't do well, he would stop developing games forever. Development for D lasted only about a year and was done in 3 different phases. The first phase was creating the game structure, which was mostly done with the Amiga 4000 computers to create the FMV cutscenes. The next phase was the plot. While working on the plot, the team based the story heavily on Bram Stoker's Dracula. And for my favorite phase, drumroll please. The violence phase. Yes, I said that right, the violence phase. When the game was near completion, Enno felt it wasn't scary enough. So to solve this problem, he added much more violence and even cannibalism to the game. After Enno added these graphic scenes, he realized it may be too terrifying for the general public. This worried Enno because he felt the game would either not be published or would undergo serious censorship. Keep in mind this was the 90s. Stuff like this is normal in games now, but it wasn't so common back then. In order to get around this, he told no one at Warp what he added to the game to keep it a secret. When the game was finally ready to be checked for publishing, he sent in a clean version of the game. He sent the clean copy intentionally late, knowing the punishment for doing so requires you to hand-deliver the game to the manufacturer. On his way to the manufacturer, he swapped the clean copy of the game for the finalized copy with the cannibalism. Doing this bypassed all censorship and got the game a T14 rating. This guy's a fucking menace! D was released in April 1995 for the Panasonic 3DO, and this was finally Warp and Enno's breakthrough. The game sold over 1 million copies in Japan and was a critical success. Critics in the West praised the game, calling it one of the best games for the 3DO. When it was time to port the game to other systems, it didn't go entirely as planned. When Warp was working with Sony to release D for the PlayStation 1, they made an agreement to print 100,000 copies. Well, during manufacturing, Sony gave other games priority and only printed 28,000 copies of D. Due to this, they didn't have enough copies to fill all pre-orders, and this made Enno very upset. I wonder if he ever got revenge. Oh, he sure did. At a Sony event in 1996, Enno decided to cut ties in the funniest way possible. Warp was showing off their new game, Enemy Zero, and when the PlayStation logo popped up, it morphed into the Sega Saturn logo, showing everybody their new game would be a Saturn exclusive. To make his reputation even worse, at a Tokyo Game Show, Enno and his team showed a video of them singing a song that roughly translated to, "Enemy Zero is a good game, Warp is a good company." Enno then threw a plush of Moo Moo on the ground, which is one of Sony's mascots. Alright, we've been talking for long enough. I think it's finally time that we start playing the game. The game takes place in Los Angeles in the year 1997. You play as a woman by the name of Laura Harris, who is actually a digital actress. Now, if you don't know what that means, let me explain. Think of an actor like The Rock, for example. In one movie, he is a superhero, and the next, a fucking tooth fairy. That's what Warp wanted to do with Laura Harris. They wanted to rent her out to be used in other games. Laura Harris, the main protagonist, is contacted by law enforcement. They let her know that her dad, Dr. Richter Harris, has gone on a mass murder spree in the Los Angeles National Hospital and has barricaded himself inside. Laura rushes to the scene to find out why her dad would do this, and for some reason, the cops let her into the crime scene. This is not only stupid, but also extremely illegal. When Laura enters the hospital, she's greeted by a fair share of corpses and a weird-looking portal. When she enters the portal, she gets teleported to what looks to be a medieval castle. And this is where we can finally start playing. Holy shit, you move slow! The first issue with this game, the speed. This is the fastest you move. No sprinting, no jogging, just some very casual walking. I'm gonna be dead by the time we finish this game, man. All that we have on us is a compact and a watch. The compact gives you hints throughout the game of what to do next, but has limited uses. The watch lets you know what time it is, and if you're wondering why that's important, the game has a timer, and when the clock strikes 12, you lose. Clearly, Laura doesn't know this, or we'd be moving faster. While walking through the dining room, Laura's father ends up talking to us as a floating head. He basically tells us that we entered into his world, and if we continue on, we won't be able to go back to where we came from. I'm not good at listening, so we continue on. I found a door located in the dining room, but it's locked, so we'll have to come back here later. I kept exploring and found a wine storage room that has a giant keg. The tap looks like it needs an item, but we don't have anything we could even use here yet. I tried walking through the room, but a huge spike wall appeared, nearly killing Laura. Clearly this room is off limits, so we gotta keep looking for stuff. After leaving the room, I found a mirror that gave me the craziest jump scare I've ever seen. Our last real option is going up these spiral stairs. Can you please walk faster? Once we reach the top of the stairs, we have the option to go straight or left. I'm I think I'm gonna try this door before we go straight. The jump scares in this game aren't really scary anymore due to the game being 30 years old, but I'll give it credit for the time. In the upstairs study room, I found a dresser that had a bug inside of the first drawer. I got a hallucination showing a girl eating what looks to be a human organ. The girl then backs away from someone in fear, while the letter D flashes on the screen. This girl looks a lot like Laura, but we'll get back to that later. When I opened up the first drawer again to look for the bug, I instead found a piece of paper. There was also a fireplace in the room that had a key hidden in it. After fumbling around for a little while, I found a bowl of water in the dining room. When you interact with it, the water turns into blood. I threw the paper in the water and it revealed a 4 and 2 in Roman numerals, just like what we saw upstairs in the study. When you open the drawers in the correct order, you get a handle. I assumed this was for the tap of the keg, and I was correct. This caused the spike wall to reset, allowing us to finally pass through. Back here is a stairwell that has yet another locked door with the number 78 etched into it in a small keyhole. The only item I had left was a key, so I figured I'd try using it on the first locked door we found, and what do you know, it worked. In here is a skeleton with one of its hands stuck in a wall. On the other side of the wall is a box with a lever. Your goal is to get this number to 78, and I promise you this is way harder than it looks. When you get a number on the left, the number on the right changes by that amount. So for example, if I roll a 7 on the left, when the right says 1, it moves up 7 places. Once the box opened, I got a ring which fits perfectly into the small keyhole from earlier. This takes us to a flight of stairs, and is that a boulder? Laura, you gotta run for once in your life! Now this is just unrealistic. Not even Indiana Jones could outrun a boulder like this, and where the f did it even come from? Once you reach the bottom of the stairs, the boulder actually blocks the way back up. Alright, well, that was disc 1. I'm gonna go use the bathroom quick before we start disc 2. I'll be right back. How long has it been? Alright, we gotta hurry this up or I might actually be dead by the time we finish this game. We are now in a huge bedroom with a bunch to look at. The first thing I did was go to this desk drawer, but we can't open it yet. I then tried leaving through the door, but obviously that's locked too. I then interacted with this creepy painting above the fireplace. When interacted with, it shows a painting of 4 animals in the 4 cardinal directions. The rooster is north, the rabbit is east, the deer is south, and the horse is at west. This will probably help us later. And what do you know, when I went towards the bed, I found a table with this puzzle on it. When I spun all the animals the correct way, the door to the next room was unlocked. This next room is a long hallway with a fireplace at the end of it. I saw a door in front of me, but decided to explore the end of the hallway first. Down here, I found these stone heads that don't do anything to my knowledge, and a bookshelf missing a single book. When I interacted with it, a bug came crawling out and gave us yet another hallucination. This time it showed someone picking up a knife. We then see the girl from the first hallucination backing up scared. The camera gets close to the girl and then the hallucination ends. Something is 100% not right with these visions. I decided to go back to the first door we skipped and found a room full of skeletons. One of the first skeletons is holding a key which we can grab after Laura takes 20 minutes to fumble around with it. I figured this key was for the desk drawer from earlier and I was right. The drawer had a book inside which we can place in the bookshelf from earlier. On my way to the bookshelf, Laura's father speaks to us again. This time, he tells us we can't stop him and that we need to escape if we want to return home again. Well, this guy definitely didn't see the huge-ass boulder in the way. Once you tell your dad to fuck off again, you can place this book in the bookcase to reveal a new area. Now, this area sucks. The door we came through to get in this room is officially blocked, so we have no way to leave. The only thing we have in this room is a wheel. I spun this thing for a while and the door behind me became a brick wall. Laura's father talks to us again, saying when we reach him, he won't be the man that we know. Something is taking control of him and making him dangerous. He ends with telling us to leave yet again. If we didn't listen the first few times, we're not going to start listening now. I can't begin to explain how slow this is. I mean, look at this. After spinning the wheel a few times, I found a staircase that leads you to a pit with a chest in it. The only issue is the bottom of the pit is trapped with spikes. So, we can't grab the chest just yet. I decided to spin the wheel some more and I ended up in this corridor full of knights. When you reach the end of the hallway, one is actually alive. I didn't realize this right away, so I fell 20 feet into a pit and got up like nothing happened. All you have to do is a series of quick time events and you can push the knight into the pit and steal his sword. Luckily, he actually takes fall damage, unlike you, so he won't be getting back up. Laura puts the sword in her pocket with all her other items and continues on. After this, I headed back to the wheel room and spun it a few more times to end up at this garden area. There's a big tower out here with a locked door, but I decided to walk past it for now. The first place I went to was this fountain, which had a bug crawling around on it. What's it gonna be this time? In this hallucination, the person with the knife stabs the girl that looks like Laura, all while D is flashing on the screen. Well, now we know it's not Laura since we're still alive. That's if these visions are even real. There were also two statues outside, one labeled Sagittarius and one labeled Aquarius. They both have color buttons on their pedestals, but we haven't figured out what they're used for yet. I finally went back to the tower and used my sword to unlock it. I've never seen a sword used as a key before, but I guess there's a first time for everything, right? After walking up the big tower, I found out it's an astronomy room. In this room is a telescope and a slider with constellation symbols. Every time you change the symbols, the constellation changes its color. Sagittarius ended up being green and Aquarius ended up being light blue. After pressing the correct buttons on each statue, the water in the fountain drained and filled up the water in the chest room from earlier. Now we can spin the wheel again and get back to that room. The chest is thankfully at the surface now, and when we open it, we got a gun? Who the hell are we gonna have to shoot? On our way back upstairs, our dad's floating head appears again. Laura's dad says he is transforming and that he needs Laura to complete the transformation. Now, he says something very important here. Laura's father says that he didn't do these horrible things, but something possessed him to do it. I wonder if a demon came inside of him or something. He tells us to leave for the millionth time and then disappears. After spinning the wheel a few more times, we find a stained glass window. Using the pistol we just got, we can blow straight through it and open up a hole. That's the end of this 2. Before we start this 3, I'm gonna get something to eat because I haven't eaten in a while. Oh, my back! Please just let me finish this game. Once the window is destroyed, we can scale the side of the building and climb up a ladder to enter the next area. This area is a long hallway, and upon entering, Laura's dad talks to us again one last time. He tells us Laura's family is cursed due to the blood of Dracula being in their veins. Oh snap. So it seems like Laura's father is turning into Dracula, and he needs to eat someone who also has the blood of Dracula in their veins. If we continue down the hallway and reach the end, we get one more hallucination. And this one is crazy. We see the girl from all the hallucinations dead on the ground and Laura holding the knife. She then takes the girl's arm and starts eating it. The vision ends with the blood of the arm dripping onto the floor. After the vision ended, I walked through the hallway and looked at this wall. Nothing happened, so I looked the other way like any normal person would do. And a wall randomly opened up. How are you even supposed to figure that out? This puzzle isn't bad. You just use both the levers to move the cogwheels until the ball is in the circle. This opens up another new area that literally just has a humongous staircase. At the top of the staircase is a painting of the girl that was in all the visions we had. After looking at the painting, we get transported to a final meeting with our dad. And this is where he is going to tell us everything. He tells us that everyone who has the blood of Dracula goes through what he's going through. I know what you're thinking. Has this ever happened to Laura? Yes, it has. He even goes on to tell us that we actually killed our mother and ate her, which are the exact visions that we just saw earlier. He wiped her memory with his power, so we didn't remember killing her. As corny as it is, I actually kind of like the plot twist. I personally didn't see it coming. This is where we have two choices, kill or be killed. The bad ending has your dad eating you to complete the transformation, causing you to die.
Thank you, Laura. Now the transformation will be complete. But Laura, your body will not be wasted. Your flesh and blood will join with mine, and we will live forever as Dracula. Laura!
To get the good ending, you need to take out your gun and shoot your father before he gets too close. This causes him to slightly freak out. You end up stopping the transformation and causing your father to die as a human, which is what he wanted. This scene is extremely emotional, so don't watch if you get sad too easily.
Laura, thank you.
Bruh.
I love you. My last wish is that...
And that's the end.